Welcome to Concerning the Spiritual and Art, a podcast exploring spirituality, consciousness, and the creative process. I'm your host, Martin Benson. Welcome back to the podcast. Today I have a really special episode for you with visual artist Brent Houzenga. And Brent and I are actually go way back. We're really good friends. We were in grad school together, so we got our MFA together years ago, and we just always kicked it off with such deep conversations. We were all very much in sync with each other from day one, and just a really incredible human, amazing artist. And today we got to do a deep dive into his work, kind of the origin story behind these incredible stenciled portraits that he does, and about this photo album that he found, and synchronicities that kind of lined him up to do the work that he's doing today. We talk a lot about like the inner work it takes to kind of help us become a channel for this greater intuition, this greater intelligence of the universe to come through us in our work, and how sometimes we don't even understand like what the meaning is or the purpose is of what we're doing, but to try to just not get in the way so much and let those sort of spontaneous intuitions come through us, and to recognize the sort of serendipitous nature of life. It's just so beautiful. He told so many incredible stories about varying synchronicities in life that have just deep meaning and profound impact on him as an artist. We talk about the importance of like holding a bigger perspective on life in terms of our story going beyond just this one life, and thinking about the impact of what we do as artists, not being so like pigeonholed to just this one experience and moment, but how we just kind of plant seeds of love and connection and inspiration that we don't even know, what they'll grow into. And that's not even the point, right? And so we get into a lot of deep dialogue in relation to that. And so I think y'all are going to be heavily inspired by all the things that Brent has to say, and you're going to love seeing his work if you're not familiar with the work that he does. So I'm really excited to share this episode with you. Here you go, Brent Houzenga. All right, y'all. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, I have a really close friend of mine to journey with me here, Brent Houzenga, an amazing artist based in New Orleans. And Brent and I have a rich history together. We actually studied for our MFA together, and just been really good friends, and just been really connected on these really deep ideas related to spirituality, synchronicity, consciousness, and the explorations thereof. And so we just have so much in common in that way. And I'm super pumped that we're finally going to get to dive deep on an episode together, man. How are you doing
Yeah.
today?
Yeah. Good. Great.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
Getting rolling.
yeah, let's do it. I mean, so like I said, like Brent and I, we've talked for many hours on end about all these kinds of things, but we're the type of friends that can just dive right in and talk forever about these kinds of topics that tend to come up on the show. And I'm thinking like the best way to start. I know you've told your story a number of times in various formats, but it's such an amazing kind of origin story, almost like a superhero origin story as an artist for you,
Yeah.
about like how you sort of like came into the work that you're still exploring today, relative to this old photograph albums that you found in a dumpster, I think. I don't know, but and how that kind of led you on this journey that you're still walking on today. So I was wondering if you could kind of share with us that part of your mythology.
Yeah. Sure. And you know, 20 years later, it's always kind of where I start, no matter what work I'm talking about, or
Mm.
you know. Um, but yeah, the photos were in someone's trash, so not a dumpster. But this is 2006. I am a punk rock kid in the art department at Western Illinois University. I'm from agricultural, small town. My family like was kind of like, what are you gonna do with this art degree?
Yeah, what are you going to
You
be an
know,
artist for? What?
yeah, like it's just so foreign and alien to them. And at the same time, I'm about to graduate too, and I'm really glad I went to college and like, discovered a lot about art making. But at the same time, I don't know what I'm about to do either. But at the time, I was jogging. I was in a band, so like I was like working out so that my performances could be crazy on stage. You know. And I would jog the same route every day, in the morning. And one day, yeah, looked down and saw these antique photo albums from the 1890s in someone's trash. And I just, they were amazing. So I picked them up, and at the time, my mom was really into antiques. And so I just thought, oh, I'm gonna grab these and bring them home and like give them to her. Um, but yeah, there was a lot that happened from that. Just flipping through them when I got home, you know, seeing that this was all that was left, of these people was this image, and then they're thrown in the trash. So there was like a certain amount of empathy that was there. There was also like you hear that death comes in threes type thing. So there was some stuff like that going on. But yeah, the initial reaction was like sort of like, wow, this is all that's left. But I also had this thought like where time kind of like zoomed out
Hmm.
or zoomed in, and like these photos are 100 years old, but in the grand scheme of thing, like 100 years is like nothing. It's a
Yeah.
it's a blip.
Hmm.
Um, and so it just kind of really, as a 22-year-old, 21-year-old about to graduate undergrad, it really made me realize like how short our time is here. Um, and like, what do you want to do while you're here?
Yeah.
You know, everybody's like, what are you doing with your life? Studying art. And I'm like, but then I get asked this, but like the universe, like asked me this question, what do you want to do with your time? And so that really set me off on this path. But at the same time, I still didn't know what I was doing,
Hmm.
but I was, a punk rock kid. So I was making posters and sort of into appropriation in art, and street art. And so, so I didn't really know what I was doing, but I started to paint these people, and it really worked visually too.
Mm.
There was something to it. I discovered something,
Yeah.
you know? And it's crazy, like the stuff that I made in 2006 could easily sit right next to something I made today.
Yeah.
Like obviously they're different and it's mutated and it's become more complex and layered. Um, but the vibe is still there.
Yeah. The essence of it.
Yeah, and just something I could see something cosmic in it,
Mm.
like I saw the universe, or I saw like electrons, like there was these weird patterns happening, and in like the freedom of it, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting. Like, I just love the empathy piece that you just spoke to, like how like you're just thinking about like the identity of these people and their stories and their life and their families, their history is just kind of like discarded in the trash. It's like just like that. And for you to like reclaim them and kind of give them almost like elevate their image and their essence of who they were in their life here through your art practice, through the filter of your own mind is there's something so like beautiful about that and so like there is something cosmic there. There is like kind of like you were meant to run right by that trash and see that there's like some kind of karmic connection between you and these people, or maybe you and this like greater idea of reclamation of like how like our identity can traverse generations and time and place and still have a feeling of relevance to like the human journey, the human experience. Like when we look at your work, we're connecting with these individuals that we don't know their names. We don't know much about where they're from, but like we're seeing beyond those labels. We're seeing kind of the essence of like the human spirit and the story of what it's like to live a life here.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
so,
in the
yeah,
end, it's like it's everyone's story,
yeah,
you
right.
know. I mean, we all end up in the trash at some point.
Right, exactly. Yeah, in some way, like right, like every nothing is permanent. It's all going to eventually dissolve and get eaten by the sun, But
Yeah,
energy is reclaimed over and over again through this process of creation. And in some like microcosmic way, like that sort of was played out through you in this experience. Can you
yeah.
remember like when you were flipping through them, like because you did like you were saying like you didn't know where this was going to go, but like was there like what was the feeling like in your body and in your mind, like what kind of emotions were you experiencing as you're like seeing these images, like was it like confusing or was it just like a feeling of like yes, like a knowing of like
It was sort of
yeah,
like awe, yeah, like
yeah.
a awe-inspiring.
Mm,
Um, and yeah, there was, like I was carrying around these old books, right, which are just like very odd
mm-hmm,
to be like walking through a college campus in 2002, or I'm sorry, 2006. Um, and I kind of like felt like I was doing something wrong,
mm,
like I wasn't supposed to have them
mm,
or something. It was really strange. Um, but again, like this is also around the time where I'm starting to connect with like synchronicity and really
mm.
understand what that is and what that
Yeah.
means to me. And I had another friend in my printmaking class who worked with old photographs, and I think it had just happened, and I went, to the art building to do some work and come around the corner, and there she is, you know, sitting in a place where she normally wouldn't be.
Hmm.
And, it's one of those simple one, like, simple where she's like, oh, I was just thinking about you,
Wow.
and I walk around the corner
Right there,
and
yeah.
I tell her about this thing. Um, yeah, so there was a lot of different feelings.
Yeah. I mean, just the synchronicity experience. I mean, it's happening all the time. It's just
Yeah.
like there's like a veil over our consciousness that like can't recognize how perfect everything is set up.
Yeah.
And, for some people out there hearing that, like, look around, there's nothing perfect. There's a lot to be negative about, in
Right.
this
Yeah.
world. But like that's still from a limited vantage point because like who knows what that is going to catalyze, good or bad, like where that's going to take anything. We don't really know the blueprint of where things lead to, but there are these signposts along the way that like I think synchronicities are a main one that like remind us that like this is right.
Yeah.
This is exactly right. Like you are doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're right where you're supposed to be. The universe and the energy and the relationships and the experiences happening around you are here for you, you know?
Yeah.
And then we can get deep into like what's the purpose of all of it. But to you, like what does synchronicity mean to you when you think of that word?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely you're in the right place at the right time. Uh, but sometimes it's just so spooky, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes
Yeah.
sometimes it's just dead on,
Mm-hmm.
Like I had this thing happen today. I'm on my way to drop Elijah off. This is a road I've gone down hundreds of times, right?
Yeah.
I've gone to Kayla's house hundreds of times.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend had just given me this third eye button.
Nice.
So I've been wearing it for about a week. And I see this sign that's like, it's called Luminaries. I don't know what the company does, but I've never seen this sign before. And they have an eye as their logo. And I'm like, oh, that's funny, and we get a little further down the road, I see another sign that says protect your dreams.
Hmm.
And I'm like, how have I never noticed that before?
Yeah.
But there's, stuff going on in my life right now where like I need to remember that.
Hmm.
Like protect your
Def
dream.
Definitely, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a few other things this week that have been pretty intense. But yeah, back then I was just kind of discovering, you know, what that meant, and
Hmm.
like experience not experiencing it for the first time maybe, but like, oh, like,
Like
realizing,
recognizing it as
r
something significant,
right, yeah.
you know? It's
And
people
from
can write it off as like coincidence and just like sheer randomness. And sure, you could go there,
right,
but
or deja vu or
yeah.
whatever. Yeah, and but then from there it was like this whole cycle, my path um opened up in front of me. And I think one time I was telling this story even to a friend of mine. It was one of my early shows, and they came out, some people I used to play music with, and I was telling the story, and it was almost like somebody else was talking through his voice, but he said, "You saw your future." He said it like that, like he was in a movie, and I and but it was like the gong,
Yeah, like
like you
boing.
saw your future. Like it was wild. And and
Man,
and like to hear it from a source that you're not suspecting it to come from, like
yeah.
this is like one of my punk rock buddies, who is, who's to say, he might be tuned in also, but like
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting him to say something like that.
Yeah, man. It's amazing. Sometimes we are just like channels and like the messages just come through us for other people. We don't even know what we're saying. We don't even realize the significance sometimes of what we might say to people or
Yeah,
strangers, you know?
yeah.
There's
Oh,
just
it's
something happening behind the curtains here, you know? And like you and I have talked about this many times, but like
yeah,
there's this magical layer to reality that we can access if we're willing to let go of our preconceptions of what we think reality is, and we're
right.
willing to like bask in the unknown. We're willing to bask in the agnostic state of not knowing and
Yeah,
being open to what reveals itself.
yeah.
And that's a hard place to be because our egos are all designed for control. It's
R-
designed for controlling everything and trying to pretend like we know,
Right.
but
But
we don't
also
know.
like, being open to decode, and like, being able to read it.
Yes,
You kind of have to train yourself to do that also.
exactly. But the first step is to like to not to let go of what you think things are, what they mean, so that you can start to become more sensitive. Because I feel like this way of like rigidly approaching life, thinking you understand how it works, it cuts you off from a certain element that's existent within it. You know what
From
I mean?
so
That
many
creative,
possibilities.
intuitive,
Yeah.
yes, that infinite possible space. You know what some in various spiritual traditions called like shunyata, the emptiness.
Yes.
But the emptiness is the space of unbounded pure potentiality, and it's like from that space is the space that all possibilities derive from. And so we can, the more we can let go of things and open ourselves, that kind of intelligence interwoven in the universe can come through other people, can come through us.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
it can, for whatever reason, you turn your head left today when you normally turn it right, and you happen to see this thing that has dramatic meaning for you.
Right. Right.
But if you're not tuned in to read the signs, or not willing to accept that you don't fully know what's going on, you're open to learning, it's really hard to like relate to that, but I feel like the more you open to it, the more you see it, like with the synchronicities, right? It's like the more
Yeah.
synchronicities you experience, the more you'll experience,
Right.
it's like a
Yeah.
self-fulfilling
Right.
think you get in. I don't know how to explain
Right.
it.
Well, and it's funny that you said self-fulfilling too, because a lot of people, when you tell them about it, they might understand or whatever, but that they're like, well, yeah, I mean, you're looking for them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like self-fulfilling prophecy, like
Mm-hmm.
in a bad way, but
Yeah, yeah,
like,
right. Mm-hmm.
um,
I mean it in a good way,
I
I
know,
mean it in
I know
like
it. Yeah.
of a higher self, like the
Right.
higher intelligence
Right.
is coming through.
Yeah.
But you know, that all aside, if for you at the end of the day, what matters is what it means to you and
Right.
how it empowers you, how it inspires you, and how it motivates you to do the work that you do. And what I love about your work, the way that you approach these portraits, these images, like you're very sensitive and like it's obvious that you love these people
Yeah.
by the way that you treat them when the way that you work with their images. You know, like there's a layer of respect that you bring to it, but then there's also this like layer of like quantum energy that you bring to them with, especially with some of the fractured images, the way that you. So for those out there, like you know, I'll flash some of Brent's work up for what those watching on YouTube, and so you can kind of see it.
Yeah.
But as you look through his work, you'll see like some images are super clear. Obviously, it's tons of color and texture, really refined use of
Lit.
stenciling. Like your X-Acto knife skills are just so precise in the way that you do it. But there's this playfulness in terms of once you get the stencils made. And some of them end up being a lot more like fractured. They almost look like a body dissolving into its, you
Yeah.
know, quantum particles as it teleports to another dimension kind of
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
sometimes they're very like, you know, like together. And I love like I don't know, I love the spectrum of how you play.
yeah.
It's
Well, yeah.
pretty
Like
amazing.
for forever, before I started fracturing the image, like I always thought of the person as, you know, part of the painting. And like when I said like I saw cosmic things happening, like the abstraction sort of represents that, the
Mm-hmm.
sort of cosmic consciousness or
Yeah,
whatever. And so, with the layers and stuff, if the person is all together, but those layers and things are going through the person's becoming part of the abstraction.
mm-hmm.
And I think I was listening to a podcast or something at one point about science, and they're talking about, when you go down, 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 down to the smallest thing that we can quantify, everything is made of the same thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
all energy, and then you go out to the cosmos and it's all stardust. We're all stardust. We're all made of the same stuff. Not
Mm-hmm.
just us, but like
All
everything.
of existence. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I tend to think about that a lot too, especially when so the splitting of the person kind of has to do with like it kind of came about with an interest in psychology and like Jung and sort of talking about competing hemispheres,
Mm-hmm.
um, talking about the shadow and like things that you've suppressed, different parts of your personality, or your psyche.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then, to take the step even further with making the person a part of the abstraction and the cosmos, like that's where the splitting apart and the fractured portraits really, I think illustrate that idea that we're
Definitely.
that we're a part of it,
Yes.
that it's a part of us.
Mm.
And so, you know, that's kind of what that's about.
I know. I love that because it is like a tapestry, right? Like we're all like woven into this universal tapestry, this matrix, you know, of
Yeah, and like
interconnection. And it
and
kind of
the
feels that way.
yeah, and like the body is just a temporary housing,
Mm-hmm.
for our consciousness. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's 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 an abstract thing too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and that's kind of, I've been trying to push that a little more in my work. Like I kind of started out with this side to side thing. The person's sort of like coming apart like this. Um, but I would, you know, in the last few series that I've done, I'm trying to kind of push the person all over, sort of using different patterns to
Mm-hmm.
like, so it's not just back and forth. It's like figure eight, infinity.
Mm.
Um, yeah,
I mean, yeah, there's so many ways that you can play with it. And that's one of the things I love about the way that you work, Brent. It's like, because of course, like with the stenciling, like you put a lot of care and time in that. But then once that stencil's made, like you just the
it's a
way in
tool.
which you can experiment and
Yeah.
play at high speeds,
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
really high speeds to be able to like try new things. So how extensive the layering can get or how minimal it can get. Like that's
Yeah.
one thing that I love. It's like you've set these kind of like parameters within your work,
Yeah.
kind of a
Parameters.
container, some kind of container
Yeah.
to play in. But within that container, there's infinite ways of playing,
Yeah.
really, if you think
Yeah.
about
Like,
it. Like each image is perfectly unique because the layers are all going to change each time, or the colors or the patterns that you bring in. And so I think there's something so like powerful about having that parameter and maintaining your devotion to the images of these people and the ways that you express them, not only to like you're using almost them as a medium to express a greater idea of humanity.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they are a channel for which you can talk about these bigger ideas of identity and
Yeah.
individuality and collectivism, and how, yes, we are individuals and have our subjective experiences and our own sort of like stories, but we're a part of this big story too that we can't negate. And I think
Yeah.
that your work kind of speaks to that more
Well,
universal side.
and it's a harder thing to understand, that the bigger thing, you know,
Because it's
Espe
so big.
yeah. And yeah, and especially, you know, for a lot of people who don't try to understand much,
Right.
so that's like way out there, I might seem out there, but that's way out there, for a lot of people.
It is, yeah.
But yeah, the people that I choose, or the people from these photos, they've just become part of like the process,
Yeah,
and process is really important to me.
definitely.
Like, I have like moves that I make, or I call them tools in my toolbox, you
Hmm.
know, just like move things that I do, but but just throwing them into the process, and like you said, playing and experimenting and seeing what happens. And yeah, because it's so free and fast, and I work in series, like sometimes they're really simple.
Hmm.
Sometimes I make a couple moves and I'm like, oh, I got to stop there. I'm going to start another one anyway,
Yeah,
so I can leave that one if I see something in it.
yeah.
If, I can, like, okay, well, I don't have to get super invested.
Exactly. You have the freedom to like I'm gonna leave that one there. I'm gonna start again and let's do another one, and
Yeah.
that's the beauty of like the way that you approach your process. But I also think that, just knowing you and the other kinds of work that you do, because like this is like a main drive of what you do, but you also get outside of that too. Think about like your superhero series that you've done that are brilliant. Like, dude, you
Yeah.
made some Batman images out there that are just, I was obsessed with Batman as a kid. So it's like
Yeah.
sickest Batman images
Same.
ever, but also like I think that you've always been really committed to continue to grow your like intuition
Definitely.
by really getting in touch with like your internal experience, whether through like dreaming. I know that you've been really interested in dreaming,
Yeah.
but also in like the way that you've kind of like learned how to exercise both hemispheres of your brain in order to unlock certain things. For example, I don't know how many years ago it was, but so Brent did a series of drawings where, and I love
Oh,
your
right.
discipline, like your commitment to your ideas, like you always like follow through with these big ideas, and they just turn out incredible. But for a whole year, what Brent did is he would do a left hand, he's a right-handed artist. He's, right dominant, but he would
Yeah.
use his left hand and draw a left-handed portrait every single day for an entire year, like without fail, no matter what. And like for anyone out there, try to do anything outside of like your normal basic hygienic routine, maybe every day for a year. Try to do anything else
Yeah.
for a year every day. Most people out there would give up or would forget or lose track, but you were really committed to that. Now, what
Y-
maybe you can talk a little bit about the purpose of that and some of the images that came out of that. Like, I know
Definitely.
that Tilly and I bought a few of those
Oh,
portraits at
yeah.
that show because he had an exhibition at the end of the year where he displayed all of the portraits
I
that he
forgot that you
did for
had
the
some of
year.
those.
And it was just an amazing like side project that still deeply relates to, like, I think what you're really interested in as an artist underneath the imagery and underneath the process,
Definitely.
of unlocking like the potential of your own consciousness. So we talk a
Yeah.
little bit about like your experience doing that project and kind of like what inspired that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when I was talking about the image coming apart earlier and how that was sort of related to my interest in psychology, um, I had just started seeing a therapist for the first time. I was reading Jung, really, and my sort of Philip K. Dick interest had really just spawned. And I was reading his book, Scanner Darkly, which is about, competing hemispheres. Um, and it really, kind of happened uh, on accident, but it's because I'm involved in the process, right, and doing it
Hmm.
every day. And I developed tennis elbow in my right hand, the hand that I would shake a spray can with.
Oh.
And I had just started moving the stencil side to side and making this sort of split image, and it just like boom, like really illustrated the stuff that I was studying and the parts of myself that I was exploring.
Mm.
And so I had to complete that series with my left hand. It's all the stencils and tape and layers and stuff. So you couldn't really there was not much difference
Yeah.
in the way the work looked. It was just like I had to spray it with my left hand. Um, and really the whole drawing a portrait every day came from another experience with a dream, and my analyst at the time, she was sort of experimental. We would talk about my dreams a lot. And there was this dream that I had where I'm falling asleep. I'm actually falling asleep.
Yeah.
And I visualized myself like I'm looking in a mirror like this.
Hmm.
And then I fall asleep, and that some things happen and I didn't really understand it, but we talked about it the whole session. And then I come home and sort of everything that happened in the dream sort of happened in reverse.
Hmm.
It was like this precog moment, pre
Wow.
precognition. And in the session, I had also mentioned, I'm thinking about, you know, using my left hand to make art. Excuse me. And my therapist was like, yeah, give it a try, just play with it.
Hmm.
And so, excuse me, come home, these things happen in reverse. I'm a little like not agitated, but like, what's going on here?
Yeah, like a little flustered. Like what?
Yeah. And so she had sort of encouraged me to try this. And so I go and I sit down at the desk. I'm drawing with my left hand. It's very, very crude.
Hmm.
It's like it's a portrait, but it's a big circle, lemon shaped eyes. I think a triangle for the nose, this big banana smile, you know?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah. Get some water.
But while I'm doing it, I'm like kind of face down, really close to the page. And I guess I must have been having fun because at some point I'm like, yeah, this is it. And I smiled and I see the smile coming back at me. And
Hmm.
I'm like, oh shit, this is my dream too, looking face to face with myself.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it was just like, I burst into tears.
Yeah.
I was like, what the, like this shit is real.
Yeah.
What is happening?
Yeah.
I've never experienced anything quite that intense psychologically before.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess a few months later, that was actually probably quite a while later, a year or
Hmm.
so, because like Elijah had been born, I had moved,
Hmm.
but still kind of thinking about this idea and really wanting to play with my own psychology, right? Like,
Yeah.
um, because in my mind. switching it to my left hand was, I make art every day. I know how to make art. I know how to, I know how to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
But somehow I'm going to be rewiring neurons in my brain because it's going to a different part, you know.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so that was my thought in doing that.
Yeah. And just like unlocking, because like when you do that, like you're unlocking like a certain part of your consciousness, of your mind that maybe has been dormant,
Yeah.
right? Because when you're working with your left hand too, like there's limitations there. There's not as much precision. Like you said, it was crude.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you have to like relearn a little bit about what you already know really well on your other hand.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so
but it was wild though, dude. Like
yeah,
by the end of it, like I'm hanging a show and I'm up on a ladder and I just put the hammer in my left hand
like
without
yeah,
thinking about it.
yeah, exactly. And
But
now it's like a part of you.
yeah. But you also asked about like the subjects and, because I had 365 of them, I had to do something new every day.
Hmm.
Um, and so one thing I want to mention, another thing about, painting these anonymous people was sort of, pop art and pop surrealism and stuff was making a huge splash when I was coming up. And I
Hmm.
kind of saw people doing that, painting famous people, and I kind of had this um anti-famous thing,
Yeah, yeah.
like no idols, you know.
Hmm.
And so one of the things that that project helped me open up was, some of my own psychology and some of my influences. Like before that, I only painted these anonymous people for the most part, um, because I didn't want to, I don't know. I just
Yeah, you didn't want to feed the beast of the celebrity obsession in
yeah,
terms of
and
our
like
culture and
or like make a painting because I think someone's gonna buy it.
got it. Yeah.
Oh, people really love this person. Like you should do a
Hmm.
painting of them. It's like
Yep.
I'm not gonna do Taylor Swift. Sorry. You can pay me to do
Yeah,
Taylor
sure,
Swift.
for sure.
Um,
Oh man,
but yeah, so I think the Bat Juju show, the Batman thing
that was
came.
such a sick show. Oh man,
I think that came after that.
it did. Yeah.
And so yeah, the every day was like kind of tapping into some of my influences. I did a bunch of musicians.
Hmm.
I did a bunch of superheroes. I did a bunch of my friends.
Did a lot of
Uh,
writers too,
I did a
or
lot of,
some writers. Yeah.
yeah, I'm really,
Yeah.
I read a lot and
Oh yeah.
I tend to, yeah, gravitate towards authors. Um, but every day was just like, it was kind of a nice, you know, free association exercise
Yeah.
because it could be like, oh, I heard a story on the radio today, or, somebody sent me this song or
Hmm.
whatever.
You're like, oh, I'm gonna
Um,
do that person today. I'm gonna do this. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like it was just like, oh, well, I need somebody to draw. And
Yeah.
so, so that was kind of cool. Um,
That's just amazing that to commit to doing that. You know what I mean? Like once you like kind of like saw the vision of what you wanted to do for the show and to do it every single day. I mean, that show is amazing. I mean, there was just so many and the portraits because they're with your left hand because of the materials you're using most time was like pens, a lot of like
yeah,
ballpoint
it
pens
was
or colored pens or markers.
pen and
Yeah, like
marker.
something about the marks, something about the lines, something about like the proportions and some of the features were just so interesting.
Yeah. I
There's
mean,
something really fresh and interesting about them. I wanted to buy like a million of them, but we got a few of them and like
yeah,
we have them prominently in our house today. I see them all that people comment on them all the
nice,
time.
nice.
And I
But
love
yeah,
just
there was
telling
like
them the story about that project.
Yeah, there was like something a little off, you know. Some of them were really, really spot on. Some of them were
Hmm.
like just a little like sort of wavy and
Yeah.
dreamy and I really don't like pencils. So, so I there was always ballpoint pen,
Yeah.
so it's like once it was down, like I had to go with whatever was there.
Yeah, I love it, man. And I just love how like connected you are with your intuition. And like, and of course, I'm sure it's a battle of trusting yourself and then,
Totally.
losing trust and trusting
Yeah.
again, and losing trust. It's always peaks and valleys. That's I think just life, right? I
Yeah.
don't care who you are, like that's just part of this journey that we're all on. But something I've always just admired about you and appreciate about you is just like no matter where you are, no matter if you're having a really like tough moment or tough week or tough time, like you always revert back to love. You
Yeah.
always revert back to like compassion and love and positivity. And you just like, it's just amazing, like I love like around if you're in New Orleans, y'all, you'll see his stickers around town. You'll see cars that he's painting around, and he did a whole project where he painted people's cars in his style with his portraits. I mean, it's amazing. Like, but on a lot of them, you have a lot of your like little sayings. Like
Yeah.
love what you're going through, I think is one
Yeah.
of them,
L-
right? Like
Love whatever you're going through.
yeah, love whatever you're going through. Like I see that message like around town a lot, and there's a number of others. And like to me, like especially when you think of like street art, because you mentioned like street art was a big, inspiration and kind of beginning point for you as a punk rocker artist, at
Yeah.
school and so forth. And like so seeing your work like live on the street as well and seeing your message out there, your energy, just the energy of your colors and your marks like around town, like you live and breathe like that idea. No matter if it, what's happening in your personal life, like you always come up to that. And I'm curious, like, has that always been sort of just the way you're wired, the way you are, or like, or was there like a point in your life where you just said fuck it to being pessimistic or negative, or that you're just not going to live that way anymore? Like, how did that energy like come through you? And like, what's your, relationship with that part of yourself?
I mean, I think it's a practice, just like everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there's a little something in this. I'm working on some writing and kind of a sports analogy, right? Like if you don't practice like playing pool or whatever sport, it's like you're going to be rusty.
Yeah,
You're not going to be good at
100%.
it. So there's that, but yeah, I definitely have not always been like this. Like I look back on myself as a teenager and a 20 something and like, I was angry and I was shitty, to a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
especially, being a punk and like sort of, I don't know,
Fuck the
living
man,
like,
like
oh yeah, and I'm still like that, but,
yeah, yeah, right. But like fuck the
uh,
status quo, like fuck this shit. It's all
yeah,
fucked up, which it is.
yeah. Um,
The systems
but
at
yeah, I
least.
think, I think just the process of discovering myself and the world early on sort of, led me to be a little bit of a seeker as
Mm-hmm.
far as, and that's why I love reading and, I love comic books and stuff, but I love, deep dives into, all sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that's kind of, what what led me there
Yeah.
to love and like I just think there's no other word that really describes what holds everything together,
Right.
And so yeah, I do try to start with love on everything. Like if I get a new canvas, I write love first before I do anything else.
Wow.
Um, and you might see like some abstract marks in my work, and they used to be just freeform scribbles and stuff, and they might look like freeform scribbles now, but it's the movement of the thing is love. It just all smushed together.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, I'm definitely not perfect, and
Oh yeah,
uh,
me, yeah, no one is, right?
I
But that's
definitely
such a beautiful, like, man, but that just, I love like knowing that about like your work itself, like how you said begins with the word love, right?
yeah
Like even it's literally like it's like a ritual almost like for how you begin your art is like you start off with what's the ultimate intention here,
Yeah,
regardless of what this painting might do for me, where it might go, who it might ultimately end up with. Like the ultimate intention is love. And I love
right,
how you said like there's not a word that else that works that holds it all together and
right. Yeah,
beautiful.
and a lot of the things I do as far as street art and stuff goes anymore is like centered around that and just like
Mhm.
spreading it around and putting it in front of people. Like,
Yeah.
I just in the over the last year have been,
Yeah.
doing these are records and
Hmm.
doing these hearts and talk about things just like falling into place. So I used to paint these records and go out with a drill because a screw is the perfect size for the hole in a record.
Yeah.
But I had to lug all this stuff with me, right? The bag with the drill in it and a backpack full of records or whatever. And I don't know what happened, but one day I just realized that the bolt on the back of a stop sign is the perfect size that you can just twist a record onto it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
S-
So so I've been going I've probably put up, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 dozen of these heart records around my neighborhood.
Oh,
And like,
man.
some people take them down and stuff, but either way, it's just like, you know, making someone's day or just like making them rethink, putting something in someone's path to hopefully, make some sort of impact. And
Definitely,
and
dude.
I've always felt that way with like my stickers and stuff too. Like even if it's just like the janitor that's peeling it off, you have made contact with another person and
Hmm.
like hopefully made them think about something.
Yeah. I mean, just again, that intention, right? It's like you're Johnny Appleseed, dude. You're just planting seeds
Yeah,
of love. You don't
indeed.
know which ones are going to sprout and you don't
Indeed.
care. And that's not
Yeah,
your job to
right.
decide which ones grow and which ones don't. Your job is just to deliver the seeds,
Yeah,
to plant them
exactly.
all around, man.
Oh
And
God, I
like,
love that.
it's just so beautiful because
Yeah.
like I think that is kind of the role we need to kind of play. It's like to do our part, but then get out of the way and
Yeah.
let the magic and the intelligence that underpins all of it, reality do its thing
Yeah,
and
for
not
sure.
try to put a stranglehold of control on everything, but just plant the seeds, put them out there, let go of the control as to where it's going to go or what it's going to do, because the intention behind it is pure and it's all about love and relating with people and reminding people of
Yeah.
the fact that there's another person out there who loves you, right?
Yeah, or needs to hear it.
Yeah, man. I mean,
I've
that's
had
just
that
such a
happen with
beautiful
my
thing.
bumper with, love whatever you're going through written on my bumper. And some people have a big problem with that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I ran into this woman who I would park in front of her house a lot. And one day she's like, "Hey, what's up with your bumper?" Like, and I sort of explained it to her. She's like, "Well, I'm battling cancer for the second time, and I'm finding it really hard, to do that." And we had this moment um, where I was there for this stranger, um, but I've also had many many experiences where people roll up next to me like, "Hey, thank you for having that on your bumper. I really needed to hear that today."
Mm.
Um, and some spooky sort of experiences too.
Can you tell
Um,
us one?
sure. I mean the that it's even there on my bumper is weird too because at the time that I put it there, the first time I was going through some stuff,
Mhm.
and the phrase in my head was just whatever you're going through because your car goes through a bunch of stuff, right? Like,
Yeah.
but you know, but I wrote it a little too far to the right, and there was just enough room for love, and I just did
Wow.
it. Like I just did it, it just came out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is probably not too long after that. We had just started grad school. Um, and there was a corner store by my house, and I pulled in there. This guy in a work truck follows me into the parking lot, and I'm kind of like, oh, what's this guy want? Like sort of a working class guy in a work truck. And that's what he said. He said, "Hey man, thanks for having that on your bumper. I really needed to hear that right now."
Wow.
And coming from like I mentioned earlier, coming from a place where a person that you wouldn't expect to hear it from.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, I think I might even shook his hand or something, but he just got in his truck and left. And maybe 6 months, a year later, I'm going down Calliope, which is a major through street in New Orleans. People are usually hauling ass, on parts of it.
Oh yeah.
And windows down, music up, and this guy in a work truck pulls up next to me while we're going down the street. And I turn he sort of made like a roll your window down motion or something. And it was spooky to me because he said the exact same thing, sort of looked like the exact same guy,
Mm,
but I don't think it was. It was just like it felt otherworldly to me,
yeah.
like it was sort of angelic, if
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Wow.
Uh, and just the fact that we're like cruising down the highway, or not the highway, but like basically going probably 30, 40 miles an hour. Um, it was a weird sync that felt
Yeah.
it felt like the same guy.
Yeah.
It felt like the same
It's
experience.
like the same energy that you felt from the other guy you're feeling from this person. Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I think that's amazing. And it's just like you're just, like that just came through you. You didn't like think about like what it would become or what it could do for people, but it was just like, in a way, like you're a channel. Like, and when you're open, the energy flows through you. And it's
yeah,
not every day that it goes through in the same way, but like
right.
the
But it's
potential
like,
is there, right?
yeah, and it's like the process. Like you get up and you do it, you become involved in this process of whatever it is it means for you to do your thing.
Hmm.
And yeah, these things come through and bubble up, and I've
Yeah.
had some weird experiences also too, where like some music I wrote 10 years ago or 20, not maybe 20 years ago,
That's crazy to say, huh?
all of a sudden makes sense to me today,
Yeah.
you know? That's insane. Like I was on stage playing at an open mic a few weeks ago, playing the song I've played a million times, and I was like, "Oh, that's what this song's about."
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the amazing thing about art. I feel that way a lot of times with painting and drawing and art making. Like you sometimes you don't really understand what you're doing
Yeah.
fully, but
Yeah.
you have to do it and you feel it and it comes through and you make it happen, but you don't quite understand why it is the way it is or what it might mean or what it was really connecting to until like way later down the road.
Yeah.
Because there is this like intelligence, the soul, the consciousness, whatever you want to call that, like the higher self, whatever is inside of us that at times when the windows are there and they're open, like speak through us, like there's
Yeah.
something so primordial about it, so potent about it, so in sync with the flow of truth, that
Yeah.
is, there that like it's awe inspiring. And it's really like, for me, it's just reinvigorates the kind of like perseverance that sometimes we need to make it through this life because it can be so challenging on so many levels
Yeah.
at varying points. But to remember, like, this is all a passing show. There's something greater going on through this process. And we have to try to mitigate our attachments to all the material experiences and things that are around us and try to see beyond, try to see a bigger, wider perspective that transcends almost time and space,
Yeah.
right? To see the cosmic tale unfold and how we are a part of this grand narrative of creation.
Yeah.
And it's easier said than done, but it's moments like what you're speaking to that are like, they just remind us like this is what we're actually here to do, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
that to me is just, they and those moments for me always come exactly when I need them the
Def
most, right?
Definitely.
And
Yeah.
and sometimes I don't even realize I need them until they come through, and I'm like, I fucking needed that,
Right.
and I didn't
Yeah.
even know it how much I
Right.
needed it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's wild.
Oh, it's beautiful, man. And like, yeah, the love what you're going through, like in order to fully like, because I'm thinking back to the woman who like you kind of had the interaction with, who's like struggling from a second bout of cancer. Like, how do you get that someone who has been suffering so immensely, who is directly facing, the threshold of their mortality, to understand the perspective of what this is? It takes a very like wide perspective to understand like what that actually means,
Right.
to see that the negativity or the suffering is a part of this evolutionary process. Yeah, the spiritual teacher Ram Dass, I'm sure you're aware of him. He wrote "Be Here Now" and all this stuff. He always has the phrase like "suffering is grace."
Yeah.
And like when you think of that, like on one level, you'd be like, "That's fucked up,"
Right.
right? Like
Exactly.
think,
Yeah.
right? But
It's
like
insensitive.
on another level, it's like, well, the suffering can catalyze such an awakening and a healing on such a more fundamental level that you couldn't have gotten to had you not gone through that suffering.
Yeah.
Like you just wouldn't have been equipped with the understanding of the gifts that are right here, right now, without the experience of maybe losing them for a while.
Yeah. But
And
it's
so
all
that contrast is tough for people though.
definitely. Yeah. I had somebody in the Rouse's parking lot, the grocery store the other day, like she said, "Well, that's fucked up." As I was getting out of my car, and I was like, I wasn't about to try to explain it at that point, but I was like, you have to try to start with love. You got to
Mm-hmm.
try. You have to
Yeah.
try, you know,
Yeah.
like even at your lowest moment, like,
Yeah.
and I know it's not easy and
Mm-hmm.
it's not always possible, but
Yeah.
but at its essence, like, that's I think it's something to strive for.
Yeah, something to aim at. It's like giving you a target to aim at. Now, you're not
Yeah,
going to always hit the bullseye,
right,
but
exactly.
if you're not aiming for the bullseye, you probably won't ever hit it.
Right, exactly.
So, like, you got to have some kind of way to orient yourself in this chaotic, confusing life.
Yeah,
And, love. And when we talk, I know we're speaking about love in the same way, but maybe some people out there listening, like, love, like what, it's such like a cliche or it's such like a
yeah,
weird word. Like,
right.
we're not talking
Hippy
about like
dippy.
romantic love. Like we're talking about like you were saying, like love is kind of what the essence of like what this is all about. Like for me, love is like what holds it all together. It's the glue of life. It's
Love, yeah, like love is gravity.
yeah,
Love is the universe. Love is
yeah,
God. Love is God. Like if you believe
yes,
in God, like
yes,
you know, yeah,
exactly. And it's something that you can experience and feel. It can be an emotion. But I think a lot of the ways that you interact and utilize the power and energy of love is through action,
yeah,
right? Like it's motivating, like love is motivating you to do something,
yeah,
right? It's the impetus for an action that is beyond the benefit to your own self, but thinking about the benefit to others.
yeah,
And that is something that I personally am always like striving to do better at, is like to recognize others and to try to be useful in some way on other people's path in life.
yeah,
And at the very least, not hinder their path and not hurt, but like try to be of use. And to me,
yeah,
that is from a place of love,
yeah. Of
of
service.
appreciation. Yeah. Of recognition, recognizing that like we are one.
Yeah,
And that's another cliche, but like and that it's something you experience. It's an experiential knowing, not an intellectual one, and that can be tricky for
right.
certain people who've had certain experiences. But I know exactly what you mean, and I love that phrase, love what you're going through, because it's a challenge to the part of us that wants to be the victim all the time,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
to see something bigger.
or to hate, like, yeah, this,
Hmm.
like, maybe this sucks, but like, is it really gonna do you any good to hate it? Like,
Hmm.
it's only, that only makes it worse. It only fuels your suffering.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, but also, you talk about cliches, like the hearts that I put up. I had this experience with I had made these Mardi Gras hearts, the green, yellow, and purple, and I just had this stencil around still, and I kind of thought about it, a heart as a symbol, and I was like, oh, it's something everybody can understand, as
Hmm.
an icon. But then I'm like, something everybody can understand. And I was like, but love is actually like so loaded. Like you look at a heart symbol and you're like, oh, that's a heart. It stands for love or whatever. But like
Yeah.
you think about love, like, and people understanding what love is,
Hmm.
whether it's romantic or the type of universal love that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's like it was another moment where I was like, whoa, like this is much deeper than and it was just that little phrase that kind of
Yeah.
set me off on that motion,
Wow.
on that moment.
Man, I love it, dude. I mean, you're definitely such a channel for this kind of amazing energy that comes through you and your work. And I love that that you have the ability to not overthink it and just run with it and trust and
Well, it's a combination, right, of like of thinking and like, oh, like kind of running it through, you
yeah.
know. But it's funny when something comes up and it's like, you kind of, that's why I love writing and literature. It's like you kind of have to examine a word or a symbol or whatever from all these different angles. What does it
Hmm.
mean? What does it mean from this angle,
Yeah. Hmm.
Like I had a show called Last Spring last year, and that for some reason that phrase just stuck in my head. But when you say last spring, you're like, oh, he's talking about last year,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, no, like I this might be my last one,
Hmm.
or what does the word spring mean? Like, last last time to go up,
Yeah.
before we go down, and as being 41, like, you know, maybe I am like sort of, but that's just like sort of the wordplay and like,
Yeah, exactly.
kind of how I examine phrases and stuff like
Definitely.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just because everyone's going to bring their own interpretations to these things, right? And
Yeah.
our job is not to interpret it for them,
Yeah.
right? Our job is just to put it out there, let it
Yeah.
become a mirror in some way to their life,
Yeah.
if it's supposed to be that way for them,
Dude,
and
and
they'll get out of it what they will.
yeah, and I love hearing that, what a onlooker, especially someone who's fresh and new, has never seen my work before,
Yeah.
or has ever, interacted with any of this. It's really, it can be pretty cool and inspiring to see what, you know, see what it trips off
Yeah.
in a new onlooker.
Definitely to hear other, yeah, exactly. Because, like, we're all here to teach each other, right?
Mm.
We're all each other's teachers. We're all each here to kind of help each other on this path. And sometimes you make something that spawns something in someone else's mind that says it back to you, that tells you something you needed to hear, or figure out, or give you a
Yeah,
whole different perspective on
yeah,
things. And at the end of the day, the important thing is that you're willing to put it out there first. And
yeah,
that is something that is hard for people, right? To be vulnerable, to put your
right,
creative energy out there for people to judge and experience.
right,
And the highs and lows of the path of being an artist is many, there's many of it. And I know
right,
you're the same way as me. Like, this is a life path. This is not a career. This is not a
right,
job. It's not about money, even though money is nice and helps us with, especially with kids and families. And
right. Yeah, like I
but
gotta
like,
eat.
this is bigger than that, right?
Right.
And
Yeah,
and there's a commitment and a devotion to this path as a creative not only
Right.
through your visual art, but through your music and your writing. And I just think you're such an amazing like friend and person to have on this path with, someone who I look to all the time for inspiration. I just
Oh,
really appreciate you in so many ways. And I'm just so grateful that, we've been talking for about a little over an hour now just to connect on the podcast so
yeah,
people could hear us riff and hear your story. And so anyone out there listening, please check the show notes, check out Brent's work, follow him on Instagram, social media, and we'll have a bunch of links in the show notes. Just thank you so much again, Brent, for being
dude.
on the show. And of
Thank
course, we'll
you.
we'll be talking soon. So,
All right.
all right,
Thanks.
for sure.
Lots.
Love you, brother.
Love you.
Thank you all so much for tuning into this episode of Concerning the Spiritual and Art. If you like what we're doing here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can stay in touch and in tune with all the amazing offerings that we're going to be bringing to this channel. Thanks again for all your support. Super grateful, and excited to bring more content your way. Peace, y'all.